Hi, everyone. This is Brian Krusell with CICS Careers. I'm the Director of Career Development, so I'll be helping you with your internship search and your job search while you're a master's student and after you graduate as an alumni.
Hi, everybody. My name's Dale Osef. I'm the Assistant Director of CICS Careers, and I'll be helping with a lot of the same things that.
All right, so we will get into the presentation here. We want to share a few things for you as you're getting started with the fall semester here, and if you are deferring till the spring, we still encourage you to be very active with your career development throughout the fall because you are eligible to take full advantage of all the events and services. So just to kick things off, how can we help? You can see a lot of colorful boxes here. This is from our website. It's not just resumes, I think is one of the key messages here. That's certainly part of it, but we also want to help you figure out what kind of internship you want to do, and then how can you apply so that you increase your odds of getting those interviews and those offers. And some of you might have heard of networking, so we love to coach students on how to do that effectively with alumni and your extended networks. Interviewing, we're going to get into detail today, but there's lots of different types of interviews, and that does take time and effort. And actually this time of year, we've been doing a lot of negotiation support too. So if and when you do get these offers, we'd love to help make the offers even more competitive.
Excellent. So I'll take the next slide here. So some words that come to mind when you're thinking of internships. A lot Brian just touched on, but of course you want to always be expanding your network and being strategic about your network, which we'll get into a little bit later, and learning about yourself and what exactly it is that you want to do with your MS in computer science. So those are a couple important things that you want to consider, and we're going to jump into how you can do that.
Perfect. So that first question is so important about what kind of internship do you want? And I really recommend that you be specific, even as you're exploring a lot of different options. And this just makes it a lot easier for people to give you recommendations about companies or people you might want to talk to, or even when those jobs are posted, they think of you first because you've helped teach them that you really are into this application of machine learning to healthcare or something like that. And so this is useful when you're going to events like our career fair, which we'll talk about coming up on the 23rd, and other networking events like the CDS Mixer that will be the week after. And then as you're trying to become more specific, it's really important to be researching these employers. And so some people like to do that through the networking approach, and others love to just read technical blogs on these companies or look at their social media posts. And one of the easiest groups to network with are other classmates. I think you're really fortunate that the year ahead of you had some amazing internships this past summer. So reaching out to those students and asking about them can be a great way to learn. And another thing we often get question we get from master students is, how do I pivot from maybe software engineering to data science? And we really focus on projects here. This is one of the strengths of the program, is your courses will give you some great projects. But even over this fall semester, if you have time, and hopefully through the summer there, you want to be working on side projects and participating in things like hackathons so that you can really have these great examples of how you learned new skills related to data science.
Awesome. So this is our master's destination report. And if you're wondering what that is, that's where folks who were in the class of 2020, so 2 years above you, have gone for their permanent first placement jobs. Many of them have gone to our what we call our top employers, like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and IBM. So those are just a couple examples, but we have students all over the world, or graduates all over the world and all over the country at companies like Bose and Yelp and Path AI, and in all different sizes. You'll see small to large there. And many of you might choose to go on to do something like a PhD. So we have 25% of our students from that year going on to continuing education at UMass and other institutions around the world. And Massachusetts is a really, really popular place for our students to settle for their first time job after completing their master's program. So you see that 33% stay in state, and then The West Coast is also very popular too, as you'll see there. So lots of options in terms of employers, in terms of geography, and in terms of continuing education. And those are things that we as career development help you decide on those destinations.
Absolutely. So another common question, how do you look for a job? Some of you might have some experience, others might be coming straight from undergrad. And so my first recommendation is to focus on the employers, not the jobs. You don't know when the jobs are going to be posted, so it's much, much more important to know that you have a strong employer match and to be learning everything you can about them so that when they do post, you are ready to apply and your application is going to be informed by a lot of research and conversations. And similar to that, you want to be prioritizing. I've talked to way too many students that are struggling with their job search, and it's never an issue that they didn't apply enough. Usually they applied hundreds of times. And so I think the alternative solution is to really prioritize. And I'm not saying only apply 5 times, you're iterating. So get obsessed with 5 companies and make those 5 applications amazing, and then do another 5 and another 5 and another 5. But it's not as simple as going on a jobs board like LinkedIn or Indeed and applying all day long. And we talked a little bit about networking, but one stat that I think is really cool is that the classmates here, the students that you'll be taking your classes with in the spring or fall, and also the students, both undergrad and recent grads, they all help each other. And so take full advantage of that because it's one of the best resources. Also, I really like the fact that you can use this career insights dashboard on LinkedIn to find alumni. I know that's another struggle is, hey, how do I access this incredible network? I don't have a network myself. And so we have a good video on YouTube you can check out about career insights. It's quite easy to learn, but it is a hidden secret of networking and taking advantage of that UMass network. And finally, I think for applying, one thing that we see a lot is that students get scared off because they don't have all the requirements. And even for internships, these are programs where the company is trying to ultimately hire you full-time. And so it should be viewed as a learning experience. And because of that, it's much more important that you can convince them that you can learn everything that they want you to learn. And so if you only have, 60 or 80% of the requirements, don't count yourself out, use networking, ask questions, and be confident that you can learn that extra 20 to 40%. And then the other thing is explain to them why you want to work there. Back to prioritizing. Sometimes it's done through cover letters, which can be time consuming, but it's worth it if you can convince them that company is your dream company and this is why. And in the absence of that, you want to be using networking or other parts of the application process to make it so it's not just one-page resume that they're evaluating why you want to work there, because resume really doesn't answer that question. So we'll help you figure out that whole side of the job search process as well.
Great. So another piece, maybe the first thing that comes to mind about the job search is a resume. So we ask ourselves the question, what makes a resume good? So when it comes to a resume, you can think of 3 primary things. You can think of organization, content, and format. Now, a traditional industry resume is different from maybe a CV that you may have submitted for graduate programs or anything like that. So it's an industry standard to keep it on one page, and you want to include, of course, your education and your tech skills, and then your work and projects like Brian was talking about a moment ago. But of course, prioritization is really important here as well, because you want to sell your most relevant skills and tell that story that's iterative, like Brian was saying about what makes you the best candidate for that specific job and why you relate to it. And it'll come naturally when we have a conversation about your interests and why you're really invested in a particular job. And then, of course, content. So all bullets start with action verbs. We have tons of resources on those, and we can definitely help you. But that's things like developed, created, initiated, things that are going to excite a reader. Excuse me. And then the STAR method stands for situation, task, action, and result. Well, I don't expect anyone to remember that now. It's something that creates context and then focus on what you really did and what you really accomplished in any given job, and it applies to projects as well. And then format, we can provide you or assist you with hidden tables or a creative template, and have something very standard, of course, but also making sure that, you know, going back to organization, that you prioritize and strategize with your resume for every job you apply to. And then, you know, just a couple more things are just that you want to be, you know, very, very organized and conservative with color and pictures and things like that. So those things will pop on your LinkedIn, but a resume should be very clean.
We've been seeing some great resumes this summer from many of you. So continue to share those with us and we'll try to make them even better. All right, interviewing. I think a lot of you know that there's technical interviewing. If you haven't started practicing, this is a great time to get going with some LeetCode code practice problems or cracking the coding interview. At UMass, we also do something called ACE the coding interview, ATCI. And so this has components both in and out of class. But the concept is pair programming, because practicing LeetCode code by yourself is one thing, but practicing with someone else where you're really forced to communicate and articulate your thinking and work through when you get stuck is even better. So we'll start inviting you to those events this fall. And then a lot of companies will also do a behavioral interview. And so back to STAR, this is where they're asking you to tell them about a time that you had to solve a difficult problem, and being able to use some organized method of response like STAR can be really helpful. And Dale and I love to do mock interviews. We can even try to set you up for mock interviews with some alumni or your peers. And interviewing is really one of those things where practice does make perfect. So put in the time and effort, and you should see the results.
So some frequently asked questions. These can be found on our website, but are grad students invited to attend fall recruiting events like the tech fair, even if you defer till spring? The answer to that is yes. Like Brian said earlier in the video, please take advantage of all of our events and all of our services during excuse me, during the fall, and of course when you're here in the spring. So when should I start applying for internships next summer? The answer to that is, you know, as soon as possible, as soon as you're ready now. Like we said, we saw a lot of great resumes coming in, and we're more than happy to continue working with you to identify your passions. If you do want to take that pivot to NLP or data science or anything like that, we're more than happy to help you craft and create a resume and a persona that's going to really intrigue employers and showcase you in the best light. So we have more of these online, but those are just a few quick questions that we can answer for you.
And we've mentioned the tech fair now a few times. So the 23rd will be the day for internships. You can see some of the logos of the amazing companies that have already registered. And Dale and I are working hard to get even more between now and then. And all this will be done virtually using an app called Career Fair Plus. So watch your email and look at the website for more information on that, and go on the app and check out these companies and see what they have to offer. And so this is for both alumni, current master students, and any master students who are deferring until the spring.
Great. And just our final slide here. Come visit our website to learn more. And you can do that, of course, by just Googling us or scanning that QR code there. And we look very much forward to the day when we're all back together. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.